Everyone in the crowd was laughing, but not because of the cars. The downtown car show was the kind of event where chrome shined so bright it could blind you, where every paint job looked fresh out of a showroom, and where engines roared like beasts fighting for dominance. The streets were closed off, lined with spectators holding cameras and sipping cold drinks, waiting to see who brought the baddest ride in town. This was where legends were made, and also where egos got crushed. Into this world of polish and perfection rolled Malik. 17 years old, baseball cap turned backward, hands gripping the steering wheel of his pride and joy. If you could call it that. It was a 1998 Honda Civic, faded, red paint that looked more like rust orange in the sunlight. Dents along the side doors, a cracked front bumper, and a muffler that rattled with every bump. The hood had peeling spots that exposed bare metal, and the passenger side mirror was held together with duct tape. To anyone else, it looked like a car gasping for its final ride. As Malik slowly drove through the entrance, heads turned not out of admiration but disbelief. A few guys standing next to a lineup of spotless Mustangs tilted their sunglasses down, squinting at the sight. A small group near a lime green Camaro actually burst into laughter. "Kid, did you take a wrong turn? This ain't the junkyard." One of them shouted loud enough for the crowd to hear. Another chimed in, "Careful. Man, if you park that thing too close to the others, the rust might spread." The laughter hit Malik harder than he wanted to admit. He'd heard it before, at school, at gas stations, even from strangers in traffic. But here, surrounded by cars that cost more than his entire neighborhood, the sting was sharper. He kept his face neutral, gripping the wheel tighter, telling himself what he always did. They don't know. They have no idea. Because under that tired, scarred hood was a secret. For the past 2 years, Malik had been building something nobody expected. Every dollar from his after-school job at the local auto shop went straight into performance parts. Every weekend, instead of hanging out with friends, he was in his driveway with the hood popped, covered in grease, tuning and modifying. He'd watched countless hours of YouTube tutorials, read car forums until his eyes burned, and asked the older mechanics at the shop for tips. The outside of his Civic might scream, "Scrap metal, but the inside!" That was a machine with teeth. Malik learned the art of patience. He didn't waste money on flashy rims or neon underglow. He invested in what mattered: upgraded turbo, custom intercooler, performance headers, a precision-tuned ECU. The Civic was a sleeper car, a wolf in sheep's clothing. But Malik wasn't here to tell people that. He was here to show them. The smell of gasoline and grilled hot dogs filled the air as the announcer's voice boomed over the speakers. "All right, folks, it's time for the speed challenge. Bring your rides to the starting lineup. We're going to see who's got the fastest run today." Cheers erupted from the crowd as cars began revving their engines, one by one rolling into position. Malik's heart thudded in his chest. He knew this was his moment. He eased the Civic into the lineup, its rattling exhaust earning a few more chuckles from nearby drivers. The Camaro guy spotted him again and wasted no time. "Oh man, this is going to be good," one said with a grin. "Junker's gonna stall before the first cone." Their friends laughed and shook their heads. But Malik didn't even look at them. He focused on the strip ahead, 200 meters of asphalt, waiting to crown its king. In the crowd, a few people muttered bets under their breath. Nobody was putting their money on the beat-up Honda. If you've ever been underestimated, you know that fire it lights in your gut, and you're gonna want to see how this ends. Trust me, you'll be cheering by the finish line. Before we hit the gas, smash that like button, drop a comment telling me the fastest car you've ever seen, and subscribe so you don't miss stories like this one. Because what Malik did next left the whole crowd speechless. The starter raised the green flag. Engines roared. The Camaro next to Malik snarled like a predator ready to pounce. Malik took a deep breath, feeling the rumble of his engine through the steering wheel. The flag dropped. The Camaro lunged forward instantly, tires screaming and smoke curling off the asphalt. Malik's Civic hesitated for a fraction of a second, just long enough for the crowd to smirk, before it unleashed all the fury Malik had built into it. Turbo screamed, tires bit into the pavement, and the little Honda shot forward like it had been struck by lightning. By the halfway mark, the Camaro's lead was gone. Malik was neck and neck, his gear shifts quick and clean. And then he passed him, and then he passed him. The crowd's laughter died instantly, replaced by gasps and shouts. The finish line came in a blur, and the announcer's voice cracked over the speakers. And the Civic takes the win. The Camaro guys stood frozen, their faces locked between disbelief and embarrassment. Malik eased the Civic to a smooth stop, the engine idling with a deep, confident growl, a sound that only someone who knew cars could truly appreciate. The hood shimmered slightly from the heat, and the smell of burning rubber and hot oil hung in the air like a badge of honor. The announcer's voice was still echoing through the speakers, almost laughing as he repeated it. The Civic takes the win. Folks, I don't think anyone saw that coming. The crowd started moving in closer, murmuring, cameras flashing. People who had barely noticed Malik when he rolled in were now craning their necks to see the car that had just humiliated a polished, high-powered Camaro. One man leaned down by the driver's side window. "Hey kid, what's in this thing?" Malik smiled, stepped out and popped the hood. The crowd leaned in as if they were about to witness some ancient treasure being revealed. Underneath was no ordinary engine bay. It was clean, organized, and filled with performance upgrades. The polished turbo piping caught the sunlight. Custom intercooler, upgraded performance headers, every cable tied perfectly, every part placed with purpose. It wasn't flashy, but it was purposeful. Gasps and whistles rippled through the crowd. Someone muttered, "No way this came out of a garage." "You built this?" Malik nodded. "Every piece. Every night after work. 2 years straight." That first win wasn't luck. The Camaro was just the beginning. Malik lined up for the next challenger, a Mustang with a rumbling, while the driver revved like a lion about to pounce, smirking as if Malik's victory was a fluke. But when the flag dropped, the Civic once again tore down the strip, leaving the Mustang eating dust by the halfway mark. The wins kept stacking up. Charger gone. Subaru WRX gone. Even a Corvette with a proud owner and expensive sunglasses couldn't keep up. Each victory wasn't just a race, it was a statement. The same people who had laughed at Malik's car an hour ago were now chanting and cheering him on, their phones out, recording every pass. His name spread through the crowd like wildfire. The kid with the Civic. But Malik didn't let the adrenaline get to his head. When the Camaro owner finally approached, the crowd went quiet. This was the same man who had mocked him earlier, leaning against his glossy ride with friends and cracking jokes. Now he stood with his hands in his pockets, looking at Malik's car like he was seeing it for the first time. Malik extended his hand without hesitation. "Good race, man." The Camaro owner paused, then shook it firmly. His nod was subtle, but it carried more weight than words. It was respect. And in the car, world respect is worth more than trophies. Sometimes life is like that car show. People judge you by the paint job, not the engine. They see the surface and think they know the whole story. But when you finally get the chance to prove them wrong, when you get to show the work they never saw, it's the sweetest feeling in the world. If you've ever had a moment like that, where you turned doubt into victory, drop a comment and tell me your prove them wrong story. And while you're at it, hit subscribe, because the next story I have will blow your mind even more than Malik's Turbo did. By the end of the event, Malik's Civic wasn't just another entry. It was the main attraction. People were taking photos with it, asking him questions, wanting to hear his story. The announcer even gave him a special shout-out for the most surprising performance of the day. As the sun began to dip, painting the streets in gold, Malik packed up his tools. He didn't have a trophy in his hands, but he had something better. He had earned the respect of an entire crowd. The Camaro guys, who had once been laughing at him from across the lot, now watched silently as he pulled out. The drive home was quiet, except for the steady hum of the engine he had built with his own hands. Malik thought about his father, who had passed away when Malik was just 13. His dad had been a mechanic, always saying, "Son, it's not about the car you start with, it's about what you build it into." That voice echoed in his mind, louder than the Civic's Turbo ever could. As he rolled through the streets, he caught sight of his reflection in a shop window, just a kid in a beat-up Honda. But he knew the truth. That junk car had just taken down machines worth 10 times more, and in doing so, it had rewritten the way people looked at him. To this day, if you mention that particular car show in the area, people still bring up the same story. Remember that kid with the old Civic? The one who beat everyone? They remember the roar of the Turbo, the shocked silence when he crossed the finish line, and the way he turned humiliation into triumph. And Malik? He just smiles when he hears it. Because the truth is, that day wasn't about showing off, it was about proving a point. and he proved it in the loudest, fastest way possible.